75 years ago, the FBI began arresting Buddhist priests, Japanese language school teachers, and community leaders. Within 2 months of the U.S. government began the mass incarceration of all Japanese Americans from the West Coast.
This is the 75th anniversary of Franklin Roosevelt's Executive Order 9066, which created the opportunity for the government to incarcerate 120,000 people of Japanese ancestry, both Japanese immigrants and Japanese American citizens, for the duration of the war. And this happened in the wake of Pearl Harbor. The photos we're seeing here are both by Dorothea Lange, a great American photographer who was recruited by the War Relocation Authority, which was the agency set up to oversee removing Japanese and Japanese Americans from the West Coast. And she was hired as part of a program to demonstrate how humane the government's treatment was of these people. But what we're seeing here are both photos from the period where people were given 48 hours to register with the government. You see particularly this one woman, this beautiful woman, looking nervously ahead of her in line because people were not told what this registration was going to lead to. They were not told where they were going to be taken. They were not told what was going to happen to their homes and businesses and their families.
If we didn't have these photographs, this story would be a blip in U.S. history.
In addition, it felt important to tell this story now, not only because the people who lived through this experience, this shameful episode in American history, are passing away, but also because of its relevance to the current discussions we're having about what we should do with people who look like people we often speak of as our enemies.
You know, people look back and they say, well, these things can't happen again, but I don't believe that.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
Are the immigration policies today, and what's similar and what's different? And sadly, you know, we haven't seemed to learn from the past. The whole point, of course, that we document our history is as an example to learn from. And sadly, there has been a movement towards something quite suggestive of the Exclusion Act. The Muslim ban is a version of the Exclusion Act.
The media has long delivered one-sided news on Muslims that focus on acts of terror or violence. In fact, one recent study showed that terror attacks by Muslims get 357% more media coverage than other terror attacks. Fictional and non-fictional literature have focused on oppressive Muslim families, limiting the freedom and choices of their children and communities. Politicians have used Islamophobia to win votes or show their patriotism. And anti-Muslim policies like the recent Muslim ban and surveillance efforts only exaggerate the fears and the misconceptions that Muslims are a threat to national security.
This is the Northern California Islamic Council, and we're organizing a Countering Islamophobia rally to bring in civic leaders, interfaith leaders, in order to counter Islamophobia and claim civil society from the bigots, from the racists, those who fill or give the oxygen that allows possibly those who are going to engage in violence to feel empowered. This is the gathering included representative from Christian community, Jewish community, and representative of the Muslim community to speak publicly. Also a number of mayors that attended this gathering today. So it's very important for us to be proactive in reclaiming civil society.
A lot of my clients and their family members live in a constant state of fear. 30 years ago, I mean, there were very little deportation cases. And now that is the bulk of cases that we take. Many of the cases go through the Stewart Detention Center. And a lot of attorneys don't take Stewart cases. We do a lot of these cases pro bono, and we have 1,500 active cases. The majority of my clients have lived here for decades. They have built a life here. They pay taxes. They have children here. And they have lived crime-free lives. And then they get pulled over for traffic violations. And you know, that's how they end up in ICE detention. I hear from my clients all the time about the mistreatment. These individuals deserve that their cases be heard before a judge. So I have to fight for them, and I have to give them their day in court, and they're grateful for that. That's what they want.
I'm looking at these beautiful cranes and I feel like these are wings of hope on these cranes, a message that the children and the families will get, that there are people on the outside who care, people like Japanese Americans who understand what mass incarceration could mean, and that we're fighting for their release and freedom.
It's the family detention center. It's the largest detention center in the United States. So I think that this effort really brings the moral voice of people who have impacted this and know what the long-term impact of being incarcerated in these family facilities is.
We respectfully acknowledge the presence of Amida Tathagata entering this gathering place as we present these cranes of peace.
I'm a DACA recipient and I'm undocumented, but I'm not afraid. Yeah, so I just want to say undocumented issues, not only Latinx issues or black issues, it's also Asian American issues. There's more than 1 million undocumented Asian Americans live in this country without having proper, I would say, right. So always they're living in fear of deportation and whatnot. So last year we kicked off we start the campaign under the name of Citizenship for All. We believe that Every single living being in this country deserves the citizenship. It's not a privilege. Citizenship for me is not just paper, it's education for all, healthcare for all, sanctuary for all, and respect for all. Yes. Citizenship for who?
Citizenship for all!
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 Thank you. Abolish ICE. Stop deportation.
Stop repeating history. Never again is now. Stop repeating history. Never again is now. Stop repeating history. Never again is now. Stop repeating history. Never again is now.
You know, I really wish that the immigration debate could be more focused on the actual people. I mean, I represent surgeons, nurses, teachers who are just here trying to provide for a better life. It's really a privilege and it's really a blessing to do what I do. I get strength from the cases that we are able to win. It definitely brings great joy to my life because I know I've made a difference.